This is the outfit that they all should have been wearing to the Met Gala. The true look of America. What do you even call this? Like, hipster, grunge, NB, on fire garbage can? Welcome back, guys, to reviews of the Ducktales reboot, which I really need to pick up on these because I really do enjoy this show, regardless of some of the criticisms I've had of it in the past. And I like today's episode a lot. This is Beware the Buddy system, that, based on some of the limited stuff I know about the show, seems to be setting up a lot. And I appreciate that a lot. Because if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Darkwing Duck come into this show later? If I'm right about that, and he does, then the opening where we see Dewey and Launchpad watching an episode of the Darkwing Duck show, where it's revealed that it was the guy who played him in the show was an actor who did all of his own stunts, who I assume is going to come back later to be like the real life Darkwing Duck, right? That was all set up. And yet it was cool. It was cool information, cool world building. It was a neat throwback to another excellent show from this kind of expanded universe. Like back when DuckTales was the thing the first time. And it also kind of fit thematically with this specific episode, as the brief discussion here between Launchpad and Dewey sets up the man versus technology undercurrent of this story. Like, straight up, this is the level of detail and world building that I was expecting in some of the previous episodes of the show that I criticized. And I know you guys have been telling me that the show does get significantly better from, like, the episode previous to this one forward. I totally believe you, because it really already feels like this show has stepped up to another level. But even in spite of that, even in spite of how well this episode seemed to build the world, the thing I liked about it most is probably the fact that it was a Launchpad-focused episode. He, despite being Scrooge's driver, has finally gotten his driver's license. And when Scrooge doesn't acknowledge that right away, he feels underappreciated, and it only gets worse when Elon Duck, or whatever his name is, seems to invent a self-driving car that actually works. Which feels very plucked from the real world. Like, this entire episode felt like a dig at Tesla Motors, and I live for that. And Scrooge, seeing how well this thing seemingly functions, is considering buying a bunch of them from what's-his-name's company. And so when Launchpad, wanting to prove that a real driver is better than this machine, challenges it to a John Henry-esque man-against-the-machine race, Scrooge leaps at this opportunity to see what this thing can really do in a high-pressure situation. Meanwhile, the episode also reintroduces the mad scientist-y guy, whose name I do not remember. And I'm not going to look it up, because it's funnier if I don't. You'll see what I mean in a second. And his intern, whose name I also don't remember. And again, it's funnier if I don't look it up. Just bear with me. And mad scientist guy is upset that his rival beat him to this technology, and doesn't seem to buy that it's possible. So he takes an interest in this as well, and the intern takes an interest in it because he is trying to prove himself, and so he helps Launchpad learn the kind of stuff he would need to know to outdrive this thing. Because Launchpad's whole idea of driving, as we have seen in previous episodes, is just go in straight line until crash. Which, I gotta say, as much as I like Launchpad, compared to that, a soulless machine that can get you where you're going without risking your life doing so, actually sounds pretty good. So until the twist reveal of what this thing actually is, I was kind of on board with Launchpad losing. Like, you can find something else for him to do, right? And he does lose. He loses terribly, because of course he does. And it's really funny, don't get me wrong. The race is hilarious. But of course he lost. he sucks. He sucks at this. The thing that he is good at is being slightly less dangerous than whatever dangerous situation the other characters find themselves in while he's there. Like, that's his role in the story. And he fills that role really well. Like, aside from comic relief, he fills that role really well. But a situation like this one, this just isn't where he shines. So he loses, but in the meantime, the mad scientist guy recognizes the performance of the robot and realizes it's Little Bulb! The intern put the specs for Little Bulb online to try to crowdsource a solution to the turning evil problem. And Elon Duck stole it. And that's why it's funnier if I don't look up the names of these characters, because it's, at least I find it, absolutely hilarious that I remember the name of the killer robot, but don't remember the names of all these other prominent recurring characters. Because that's just how my brain works. My outfit is an on-fire garbage can. My brain is an on-fire garbage can. And so, of course, as a bunch of our characters are being driven by this robot, it turns evil, and now it's up to Launchpad and the incompetent intern to save them, and the intern calls upon a technology that he and his boss have been working on that isn't ready yet, supposedly, that turns him into basically Iron Man Duck, and it was super cool. And so in the end, where this episode could have come down very stereotypically on the side of either the personal touch or technology, it advocates for a balance being the best way to go about things, since he does have to pilot this robotic suit. And in the end, Launchpad does get his little bit of validation from Scrooge and realizes that Scrooge does appreciate him and care about him, and they are, friends. They're not just co-workers, they're friends. It was actually a really cute moment. It was a softer moment for Scrooge than what we typically see, and I liked it a lot. And really, the only main characters in this episode were Scrooge, Launchpad, and Dewey. And Launchpad was the most prominent of all of them. And I liked that. I liked that these characters could carry an episode entirely on their own, despite the fact that the other main characters in this show are absolutely great too. That the loss of these great characters didn't ruin the episode. And also that Launchpad was able to carry an episode so effectively, mostly on his own. I have criticized the show in the past for seemingly not using him to his full effectiveness. Just kind of using him to set up crash jokes and noodle incident jokes. So this was a pleasant surprise. And I mentioned that this episode sets stuff up. Aside from the Darkwing Duck stuff at the beginning, the return of Little Bulb seems important. Now Elon Duck is interested in the mechanical suit and getting that technology for himself, and just the suit, the establishment of the existence of the suit that is worn by this character who has kind of a superhero persona, Gizmo Duck, I think is what he called himself. All of that felt like it's going to have repercussions down the line, so that was pretty stinking cool, I think. Overall, this was a good, funny, well put together episode that I enjoyed a lot. All of that said, though, guys, as per usual, I'd like to know, what do you think of Beware the Buddy system if you have seen it? Let's get a discussion going in the comments section down below. And while you're down there, you might as well like the video, share it with anyone else you think would enjoy my content, subscribe if you haven't. You can also check out the various ways that you can help out my channel. Links to those will be in the video description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.